Fellow Toastmasters, imagine this a space where you feel safe, where you're free of risk and failure, where you have a strong sense of certainty, familiarity, and security. You probably might be thinking of your house, maybe your friend's house, or even school back then. But that safe space is also your comfort zone, a safe haven where you are free from failure and possibly embarrassment. However, staying in your comfort zone can be dangerous as well, because not only are you confined in a personal circle of your personal boundaries, you are limited in direction and you are stunted in growth. If you want to grow, if you want to learn outside of yourself and learn more about the world, you have to be willing to step outside of it. I know it's very difficult to step outside because it's tempting to go back into somewhere where you have a routine and where it feels safe. However, in my experience, I have come across three main principles that have helped making going out of my comfort zone a little more manageable. The first one I've learned was breaking it down into simpler parts. Thinking about the whole thing might stress you out. It might make you think, oh, I can't do this. But when you break it down into simpler parts, it might make it a little more manageable. Back in college, we had an annual career fair for civil engineers. It was a great opportunity to not only meet employers, but also show yourself, sell yourself in the chance that you could become a part of their company. I was very nervous doing it because I wasn't very comfortable meeting new people. I wasn't very comfortable doing one-on-one conversations for a long amount of time. And I decided I would try to break it down into smaller pieces to make it easier for myself. So what I did first was I picked 5 companies that I wanted to look up. Second, I researched a few details about all of them. And then the next day, I put on a suit, I head over to the career fair, and I look for all the 5 employers I wanted to talk to. I go up to them, I shake their hand, I say, hello, I'm David Choi, and I make my quick elevator speech. And then I listen to them, and then ask a few questions back and forth. Hopefully, we get some good vibe together. And afterwards, I shake their hand, I say, thank you for the interview, and then I hand them my resume, and then the rest is up to them. Sometimes, breaking it down into simpler parts, you might break it down so many times that you might forget something in between there. And that's when the next principle comes to mind, which is learning to relax and then retrace your steps. Back when I did my first speech in Toastmasters, there was a part where I got stuck. I didn't know what to say next. I was starting to tighten up, I was starting to sweat, and I was seriously thinking about just stopping my speech from there and saying, thank you, that was it. But you know what? Oh, sorry. But you know what? I stopped. I took a deep breath. And then I thought about everything I did so far. First step, second step, third step. And then it came to me. I was able to remember what I wanted to say next, and I was able to continue my speech from there. The next step is similar to breaking it down into smaller parts. It's about learning to plan ahead. So let's say you want to do a job interview. You're definitely going to be asked questions, and it might be helpful to sometimes look up the questions in advance, the most frequently asked. Because when I did a phone interview, it was my first interview ever, I wasn't prepared adequately for it. I always stammered, I was doing a lot of uhs, and there was a lot of silence between the questions the person asked. And needless to say, I wasn't able to get a second round. But this next time, I looked up all the most frequently asked interview questions, maybe 10 roughly, wrote down answers for them, such as, what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? Tell me a little bit about yourself. And the next time I did an interview, the person did ask some of the questions, but some of them weren't asked. A different question was, what was the mistake you made and how do you fix it? That threw me off guard. However, I wrote an answer similar to that question, which was, what are your weaknesses? Which is, what do you have and how are you going to overcome it? So even though I got thrown off guard a bit, I was still very prepared for it, and I was a lot more confident as well. So even with all these principles in mind, I still find myself coming up here still nervous about speaking in front of everyone. However, by continuing to go outside my comfort zone, to risk embarrassment and failure, I'll know that I'll be able to get one step closer into making public speaking another area I can add into my comfort zone. Thank you.